When most people hear the word cult, they picture an isolated religious group led by a charismatic leader. But what if that's too narrow a definition? The shocking reality is this: a cult isn't defined by robes, isolated compounds, or charismatic leaders. At its core, a cult is any group or system that gradually gains control over how people think, where they direct their attention, who they trust, and where they find their sense of belonging. Read that definition again. Then ask yourself, what in our modern world checks every one of those boxes? The answer may shock and unsettle you. It's in your hand or right beside you, your smartphone. Before you dismiss the idea, stay with me and let's take a closer look. For years, I've encouraged my readers to create healthier boundaries with technology, not because I'm anti-technology, but because I'm pro-health. Before I began teaching health and wellness, I was an early adopter in the technology industry. Long before smartphones became an extension of our hands, I spent years teaching corporate employees how to use technology to improve productivity while making their jobs easier and less stressful. I believed in technology then, and I still do today. Technology isn't the problem. The problem is allowing technology to quietly take control of our attention. By 2019, my focus had shifted from teaching productivity to teaching stress reduction. During my presentations, I encouraged people to silence unnecessary notifications, reducing the constant stream of interruptions. Why? Because every ping, vibration, and alert forces the brain to stop what it's doing, switch gears, and then work to regain its concentration. Those interruptions may seem insignificant on their own, but over the course of a day, they create a constant state of distraction. That's why, in last August's newsletter, 31 Simple Daily Habits for Energy and Wellness, I encouraged limiting social media, creating device-free time each day, keeping your phone out of the bedroom or at least away from your bed, turning off unnecessary notifications, and even practicing a weekly tech Sabbath. At the time, some of those suggestions may have seemed a little far-fetched. After all, most of us rely on our phones to manage our calendars, communicate with family, navigate traffic, pay bills, shop, entertain ourselves, and answer questions in seconds. The idea of intentionally stepping away from the phone, even for a few hours, may have sounded unrealistic. But starting now, I hope you see those habits differently. They aren't about rejecting technology. They're about making sure technology doesn't quietly begin managing you. They aren't restrictions, they're safeguards for your attention, for your mental well-being, and ultimately for your health. Here's why. Our phones compete for our attention. Think about how many times each day your phone interrupts what you're doing. You're busy reading, working, having dinner, talking with your partner, playing with your grandchildren, praying. Then, ping! Without thinking, your hand reaches for your phone. That reaction isn't an accident. Technology companies invest billions of dollars in studying human behavior. Every notification, every red badge, every like, every endless scroll has one purpose: to capture your attention and keep it. Because attention has become one of the most valuable commodities in the world. Think about it. How many times have you picked up your phone intending to check just one notification, only to realize 20 minutes later that you're still scrolling? Our phones influence how we think. The algorithms behind the apps we use decide much of what we see online, which news stories appear, which videos play next, which opinions are reinforced, which ideas quietly disappear. Most of us believe we're choosing what we consume, but every click, every search, every like, and every second we spend watching teaches those algorithms what captures our attention. In return, they feed us more of the same. Without even realizing it, our phones begin shaping not only what we see, but how we see the world. Our phones influence who we trust. Years ago, most of our trusted voices came from family, friends, teachers, physicians, pastors, and people we knew personally. Today, many of us spend hours listening to influencers, commentators, podcasters, and content creators we've never met. Over time, those voices become familiar. Familiarity often becomes trust. Many of those voices weren't discovered by us. They were introduced to us by algorithms designed to maximize engagement. They shape our sense of belonging. Human beings are wired for connection. Social media understands that. Likes, Followers, comments, shares. Each one provides a small reward, a momentary feeling of acceptance, recognition, or validation. Without realizing it, many people have begun reaching for their phones not because they need information, but because they're looking for connection, distraction, or emotional relief. That's a powerful influence. I'm not suggesting that smartphones are literally cults. I am suggesting that the information, messages, and algorithms flowing through them align remarkably well with the defining characteristics of a cult. They gradually shape how we think, where we direct our attention, who we trust, and where we find our sense of belonging. When those four things are constantly being shaped, it's easy to see how our stress levels, our relationships, and ultimately our health can be affected. As someone who has spent decades studying stress and its effects on the body, I can't ignore that connection. We often underestimate the effects of chronic stress. Yet medical science has repeatedly shown that it influences nearly every aspect of our physical health. We usually think of stress as financial pressure, relationship conflicts, illness, or work demands. But perhaps one of the most overlooked sources of stress is living in a constant state of interruption. Our brains were never designed to change direction 100 times a day. No wonder so many people feel mentally exhausted before lunchtime. The good news is this: we can take back control. Turn off notifications you don't need, or at least silence them. Limit social media instead of letting it consume your day. You decide when to engage, rather than letting the apps decide for you. Create device-free time with the people you love, strengthening the relationships that matter most. Protect one day each week as a tech Sabbath, a chance to unplug from the digital world and reconnect with the real world. None of these suggestions are about rejecting technology. They're about reclaiming something infinitely more valuable: your attention. Because where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy goes, your health follows. Maybe we've been asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, how much time do I spend on my phone? We should be asking, what is influencing where my attention goes each day? The answer may reveal far more than we realize. This week, I challenge you to turn off just one unnecessary notification and notice how it changes your day. Small changes, practiced consistently, often produce the biggest transformations. If this resonates with you and you're ready to look at the deeper patterns keeping you stuck, I invite you to book a discovery session. Together, we'll begin identifying the hidden sources of stress, thought patterns, and emotional triggers that may be affecting your health and keeping your body from healing. You'll find the link in the description. Start small. One notification turned off. That's enough for today.